by an interesting gentleman, ADA Kraus, right? Is that
I
correct?
was.
Now, if you don't want to answer, that's fine. But do you have any personal opinions about Kraus?
I just think that the way he treated me up on the stand for something that I voluntarily did for my community with no interest in anything was uncalled for. And I just want to make it clear, I have no problem with law enforcement, no problem with the district attorney's office, nothing. That would be the reason why I voluntarily helped out the ATF. And it would just trickle down through the departments to the Kenosha Police Department.
All right. So you go in there and they asked you about your police statement. Did they ask you to like restate everything, or did they have you read it? What was that process like?
Binger had a copy of it and slid it over to me, asked me to read it. And I did. I read it. Said it looked accurate because he asked me, is it accurate still from the time you wrote it? I said it is. It hasn't been altered, nothing like that. And that's when he said he had a photo, and it was like a real distorted photo. It was real blowing up. And he pointed to an individual and asked me if I knew anyone, or if I knew him or anyone in the picture. And I said I did not. And he said, well, this is Joshua Zaminski. And I mean, it clicked because I had a subpoena from him, but that was it. And I said, okay. He literally set the photo down, picked it back up and said, who is this? And I said, Joshua Zaminski. And that's when he said, would you like to add this to your statement? And but what the photo was of that trailer tipped on its side, and he was kicking something into the fire, it looked like. And I don't know why he wanted me to add that, but then after I said, oh no, I don't want to add it, he wasn't too irritated by that. But we started breaking down my statement from beginning to end, and he, in the middle of it, he showed me a video off of a cell phone he pulled out of his pocket. And I personally, at the time, I tried to not watch the case. I didn't really follow it in the news, nothing like that. So I didn't see all the videos at the time that were out. The video he the video he showed me was of, I still don't know who recorded it, but Kyle was just on the ground, and who they refer to as jump kick man kicks him in the head, and he stopped the video. And he goes, well, why isn't this in your statement? And I said, because I didn't see that.
Right.
And something that I heard outside the courtroom while I was waiting to be called on the stand, while I was in the courtroom, an attorney, I don't remember his name, but he's from Los Angeles, came up to me and said, think long and hard if you said to Detective Howard that Gage had a gun. And he says, because it was on a recording that you said that. I don't know for a fact. I can't recall, but I could have sworn I did say in that statement to Detective Howard that he had a gun. But apparently I'm going to go with what my statement says. But it just, when that attorney came to me in the hallway and said that to me, it kind of like brought my memory back up. Like, you know what? I did think for a second I did mention that, but maybe I didn't because it was not in my statement.
Let me get this straight. I want to make sure I've got this right. So you're waiting to give your testimony. You're in the hallway of the courthouse.
Yes.
And an attorney from LA?
Yes. He introduced himself to me. He was an older gentleman with gray hair and a nice suit, and said he was here from LA. And I don't know what his relevance was, but he did talk to my attorney. I don't recall his name off the top of my head, unfortunately.
So he came up and mentioned that you had not stated in your in your recorded statement that you said you saw a gun.
Yes. And I didn't even know my statement was recorded, but he said that's normal.
Yeah, typically they would be recorded. Just as a personal bit of advice, if you're ever at a police station or a district attorney's office, assume that everything you say is recorded, because a lot of times it is. But that's okay. So that's a really interesting sort of detail. And you haven't talked to that guy ever
I have
since
not
then?
been able to track him down.
What's your impression from what the local community has sort of felt overall about the coverage of the trial and kind of the whole, I guess you could say, circus around it, if they do consider it some kind of a circus?
I would say the community is split 50-50. But I think the community wants to show that it wasn't the people that caused the destruction, people from Kenosha, and they want to prove that by not letting it escalate again. So I don't think people are really trying to be out on the streets voicing that. Just
that makes sense
because of how it was the police handled the situation last year.
Right.
Did it feel when there was not trying to put yourself back into August 23rd, 4th, and 5th, right?
Yes.
Did it feel like Kenosha was being invaded by people from the outside, or did it feel like it was bubbling up from within?
No, you would hear, I did have my AirPods in and I had the police scanner going, and you could hear that there was bus loads of people coming off the interstate. They're pulling vans over, U-Haul trucks over full of people. So it was a lot of people coming from out of the area.
So
And I actually recall seeing a couple posts, and I don't recall what group it was that someone showed me that from down in Chicago, there was a post circulating saying that let's burn down Kenosha, Wisconsin. And so there was posts going around on Facebook like that.
The question I really am curious about is, I know it's only been a few weeks since the trial, but I am sure that type of impact you had on people, I'm wondering, has that translated in any way on your day-to-day life? Do people now recognize you more? Is that having any sort of impact? I would hope certainly in a positive way on you, and God forbid in a negative way. I'm wondering about that too. What's life for you on a day-to-day basis now?
A little of both, positive and negative. And I'll start with the negative, and that is when I took the stand and now that people recognize me, my very first day back to work, the day after I took the stand, I service multiple stores. So I bounced through a lot of retail stores in one day. And so I don't know none of these people. Someone recognized me and got in my face with her husband and started screaming, "You support a murderer."
Oh my God.
And over and over and over, and just screaming it at me until I had to leave. And I am on an unpaid leave as we speak. And that's why I really appreciate everyone that has helped me from the bottom of my heart, because it truly has helped me.
So I didn't know that. So you're on unpaid leave from your job because other people screamed at you?
Screamed at me, and I felt that I was scared for my safety.
Yeah,
and
I would be.
I felt that I needed to try to reach out to some counselors and therapy to try to overcome this feeling, because I am scared for my life, and I've been in a big box retailer and my life's been threatened.
Oh, man.
That's crazy.
And to me, it just seems bizarre, because all I did was tell the truth and to what I took photos of, and that's all it was. And now I'm scared, and I'm losing money every single day, and I don't know how much longer I can be able to withhold that.
There are
Oh,
people
man.
sending super chats in about for donations. To the super chats go to me. Don't super chat me to donate to Nate. When that comes up, I will do it. I will of course make a donation, as I always do when I promote a GoFundMe. I will gladly make a donation, but don't send me a super chat to then send to Nate, because YouTube takes 30% of what you send. So you don't want to send me $10 and have me send $7. That don't give it to Google. Wait for the GoFundMe, give it to Nate, and then I will be making a donation, of course. Like I said, I was not aware of your situation.
No, not at
That's
all.
crazy. But one other ways you can directly support Nate is through his work, and those links are in the description of this video already. You can go, if they're not there, just refresh and they'll be there. But you can check out if you want to buy photos or anything like that. That's another way you can support him. I'm going to skip that one. The man with no name says,
When he has to skip it, it's usually really bad.
well, okay, so someone, I didn't say a joke earlier, and the reason is Nate has been
Because it's daytime.
no, it actually isn't that. It isn't that. Nate has been honest and neutral, I feel, through this whole thing, and so I don't want like a joke or a comment to come across as somehow being endorsed by him. That isn't. And so that, you know, he has, I felt like you were completely neutral through the situation, giving factual issues. And I think the people who thought that you were biased towards Kyle were missing entirely the fact that entire thing was a narrative, perhaps erroneously crafted by Binger and Krause. So specifically Krause's line of questioning.
Yeah, I think either they didn't watch your testimony at all, or they did and they just were so poisoned by some kind of ideological narrative by that point that they weren't going to listen to any kind of reason or be able to take in any kind of facts that countered that narrative. That's the only explanation that I can come up with.
I mean,
for
just
why
the facts, right? You were there, you took the photos, you saw what you saw, just the facts. Whichever way they go should be the way that you testify to. Like these are just obvious, right? Just whatever you saw, whatever you heard, whatever you photographed, just the truth.
Nate, man, is there anything else you want to say? I want to have a little discussion with the lawyers on the panel, but I don't want to have you in that discussion for very specific reasons about it. It involves some of the things that you said on here that I want to talk about
you behind your back.
No, I want to talk about some of the things that that Binger and Krause did and said that you brought up in the interview, but I don't want you associated with that discussion. Because that's not, you know, I don't want to put that upon you, especially if you're under subpoena.
Retain your neutrality.
Your objectivity.
Okay, well then the chat's been asking me to do this, so I'll have to do this as Mark Richards. Then I'll say, Nate, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate you going through this with us. It's been a wonderful interview, but I'm gonna let you go from the stream now. Everybody in the chat should be checking out your links, and we'll keep a watch for the GoFundMe or whatever it is. The one thing I wanted to talk to some comrades about was this thing. It was mentioned at trial, and he elaborated today. So during his interview with Binger and Krause before pre-trial, he is brought in and he said that Binger showed him a blown up photo of somebody. Okay. And he wasn't able to identify who the person was. This is a changing of the statement. Wasn't able to identify who the somebody was. And then Binger shows him a video of Joshua Zaminski and indicates that the person in the photo is Joshua Zaminski. And then he asks him if he wants to change his statement to reflect the identity of Joshua Zaminski. Now, bear in mind, he has also been subpoenaed in the trial of Zaminski.
Yeah.
That
raises problems.
Interesting.
I mean, if
That
I'm
sounds like
Zaminski's
witness
lawyer,
tampering.
if I'm Zaminski's lawyer and I watched this interview, and if I'm Zaminski's lawyer not watching this interview, I'm questioning my life choices. But if I'm Zaminski's lawyer watching this interview, I mean, I'm taking notes. What do you guys feel about that?